Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well and staying safe during this time. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. Like I said, thank you so much for checking me out. If you haven't done so, please make sure to hit that subscribe button just right below the video. Cool, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And if you're returning, welcome back. Thanks again for your support. I truly do appreciate having you here.
The founder of the firm that is suing the SEC as a result of happenings surrounding the SEC versus Ripple case and the fact that the SEC is doing everything that it can to prevent documents getting to the public, despite the fact that via the Freedom of Information Act they could get out. This founder of this entity, which is Empower Oversight, has written up a piece explaining just how bad things really are. He's revealing just how bad things really are in dealing with the SEC and all of their ass hattery and trying to prevent truth from getting to the public. And I actually came across this initially from attorney John Deaton because he highlighted this a couple days back, and he shared a quote, which I guess he thought was one of the most important ones, and I would agree it's very important, so check this out. And this is a quote from Jason Foster, who is the founder of Empower Oversight. And he said the following, this is the quote: "It has taken 2 administrative appeals and a federal lawsuit to get the agency to even admit that it has the documents we are seeking. At first, it issued a letter claiming that no such records could be found, which turned out to be false." That's the quote from Jason Foster that John Deaton highlighted, and then John Deaton wrote, "Amazing work." And so this is the latest update on this topic. I've been covering this story since, I guess initially back, the first news piece popped up in August, but we found out in December, yes. Jason Foster, leading Empower Oversight, they are suing the SEC. It is because of the SEC versus Ripple nonsense that's going on. So I want to be clear at the outset, I don't have a legal or financial background of any kind. I'm not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. Just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. And so here's Jason Foster on Twitter just a few days back, and he tweeted out the following: "All about our efforts to pry documents out of the SEC and why it matters," which leads to this piece that he wrote, titled "Shining a Light on Would-Be Cryptocurrency Regulators," with the subheading "Challenging the SEC to comply with its own disclosure obligations is a challenge." And then he had an update. I'm going to run through the whole piece here, but there was a quick update, which I'll read since it is at the top here. And it was after this piece was initially written. So, update. On the afternoon of Friday, February 11th, 2022, the government filed a motion in the litigation referenced below, asking the judge for an extension of time to file its answer to the suit. And is anyone surprised? Obviously, it's all about delay. In every case surrounding crypto that I've found, there's typically some sort of request for delay, and a lot of times the SEC gets what it wants. Completely ridiculous, but hey, that's what it is. Really grinds my gears, folks. Healthy financial markets need clarity and transparency to function properly. Financial regulators are supposed to write clear rules so that markets can operate on a level playing field. Instead, they sometimes make arbitrary enforcement decisions that look unfair and undermine public confidence in their integrity. Among the safeguards against the kind of government overreach that distorts markets and hinders innovation, the Freedom of Information Act, or FOIA for short, FOIA, is a vital tool for Americans to enforce transparency and accountability on the government. But it takes a lot of persistence to make FOIA work the way that it should. And here's an example to illustrate my point. In August 2021, Empower Oversight, a non-profit public integrity group that I founded last year, filed requests under Freedom of Information Act with the Securities and Exchange Commission seeking documents related to 3 SEC officials and alleged conflicts of interest. For 7 months, the SEC has delayed and stonewalled, failing to cough up a single page. It has taken 2 administrative appeals and a federal lawsuit to get the agency to even admit that it had the documents we are seeking. At first, it issued a letter claiming that no such records could be found, which turned out to be false. And also, I'll pause here to note, I've already covered that, so I'm just going to have to assume, for the purpose of this video, because I could branch off in conversation a million different ways, which is almost always the case, I'm going to have to assume that you've known to the specifics to this point. If not, the rest will still make sense. I just thought I'd mention it in case you were wondering. But yes, indeed, I had a whole video where I was covering out the degree to which the SEC lied, having bogus nonsense search methods. That was uncovered. And then they used proper search methods, and what do you know? All of a sudden, out of nowhere, these documents are found to exist, and they still don't want to hand them over. But anyway, the piece continues. What is this controversy about, and why should you care? Developers and users of digital currencies have sharply criticized the SEC for its failure to enact clear rules for digital tokens while taking selective and inconsistent enforcement actions. Whether these digital assets, known as cryptocurrencies, should be treated as securities that are subject to the SEC's jurisdiction or as commodities which, like traditional currencies, fall outside of its jurisdiction, is a controversial and unresolved question. Rather than adopting clear rules based on neutral principles to guide innovators, investors, and regulators in the crypto space, critics say that the SEC has instead arbitrarily tried to enforce securities regulations against developers of some digital currencies while allowing others to operate unmolested. And pause to note, that's funny that I use the word unmolested, but the bigger point there is that the government is choosing winners and losers. XRP bad, Ethereum good. That's what the government said. No, we cannot let them get away with this. It's nothing against Ethereum, but we have to highlight this. So I understand why all the Ethereum people are upset, but I'm also going to insist that the fact that they're upset with us is irrational. And this you're highlighting one of the fringe members of the XRP community that actually thinks that the SEC should go after Ether, because the vast majority of us don't believe that. I don't want that to be the case. I hold Ethereum. It's the first cryptocurrency I purchased in my entire life. On November 10th of 2017, I still hold it. So, no, I don't want that to happen. Even though there was an ICO, there was also a lot of insufficient clarity in the earliest of days. So I'm just saying there should be a path forward for all of these cryptos. I just don't like the SEC picking winners and losers. But anyway, piece continues. Critics also point to an appearance that conflicts of interest may have tainted these SEC enforcement decisions. Empower Oversight's FOIA requests are aimed at learning whether any SEC documents might support the widespread claims of apparent conflicts that are undermining public confidence in the SEC's neutrality and objectivity. Specifically, 3 former SEC officials had a direct hand in crypto enforcement actions that moved the markets. Former Chairman Jay Clayton, former Director of Corporation Finance William Hinman, and former Director of Enforcement Mark Berger. The fact that all 3 have personal financial ties to entities that benefited from the SEC's enforcement priorities has naturally raised suspicions, particularly among holders of the digital assets impacted directly by the SEC's actions. Was the SEC aware of these financial ties, and what, if anything, did it do to mitigate the appearance of conflicts of interest? Did any of these men communicate while inside the SEC with those who paid them before, during, or after they were involved in these enforcement actions? These are some of the key questions that the SEC needs to address in order to restore public faith in its integrity. So pause to note here, and this is why I'm so glad John Deaton's been calling this forever. I hope so. There needs to be an independent party that does an investigation on this. Some part of Congress, ideally, I would think anyway. I don't know for sure which part of the government would be best suited for this, or what agency, but there's got to be a neutral third party that could take care of this. And if there's a party that would need to be outside the bounds of the government, okay, fine, we can talk about that too. I'm just saying somebody needs to do that so that there can be restored faith in what's going on, because right now there's nothing but broken trust here. Peace continues. Why have so many lost faith in the SEC's objectivity? On the last day of Clayton's term as SEC chairman, Berger's division filed a lawsuit against the crypto industry giant Ripple Labs. The SEC alleged that the token XRP has been an unregistered security since its inception, and that all of its sales since 2013 had violated Section 5 of the Securities Act. At the time of the enforcement action, XRP was the third largest cryptocurrency on the global market behind Bitcoin and Ether. The December 2020 lawsuit immediately crashed XRP's trading price on exchanges, which then delisted the token out of fear of further SEC retaliation. The SEC's action essentially wiped out $15 billion in value for tens of thousands of retail holders around the world. That didn't exactly further the SEC's official mission of protecting investors. Adding insult to injury, the SEC unsuccessfully opposed allowing those holders of the token to file amicus briefs in the case. Pause. So obviously he's talking about what John Deaton has achieved, because he's representing over 65,000 holders in the case now. Anyway, peace continues. Immediately after filing the Ripple lawsuit, Clayton and Berger left the SEC to work for companies that have financial interests in promoting Bitcoin and Ether, the two leading competitor digital currencies to XRP. Yeah, exactly, folks. So basically they just lobbed a chaos grenade out into the crowd, and then it blew up, and then they just skedaddled. They're on out of there. Because what's it matter to them? They don't have to deal with the ramifications of this anymore. At least they don't think they do. We'll see what justice might come to them, if any. But that's what it's looking like. And the piece continues. Clayton returned to the Wall Street firm of Sullivan and Cromwell, where he'd made his fortune before his SEC service, and where one of its clients, Consensus, is a direct competitor to Ripple. Clayton also joined the advisory council for cryptocurrency hedge fund One River Asset Management, which had consolidated a $1 billion investment into Bitcoin and Ether shortly before Clayton's agency filed the Ripple lawsuit. For his part, Berger joined the Wall. Whoa! Oh my God, it's totally. Whoa! Come here! Whoa! Oh my God! Whoa! Sorry, that was my pet peeve. She must have heard something that I didn't hear. That scared the hell out of me. She was, I thought she was sleeping. She was in her little doggy bed behind me, and she barked and scared the hell out of me. I've got her in my lap now. You okay, Peeve? You okay? It's okay. Oh my god. Sorry if that startled anybody else listening to this. She's always around me. Like when I'm recording, she's frequently just under the desk by my feet, but this time she was in a little doggy bed behind me. That scared the freaking hell out of me. Okay, it's okay, Peeve. She has great ears, so she must have heard something behind me. Anyway, I apologize for breaking that up. Peevy. Alright, I'll let you sit in my lap. Everything's fine. I love this dog. Sorry about that, though. Okay, where was I now? Sorry that broke up the video. I think it was here. I apologize if I'm slightly off. Anyway, it always throws me off when something like this happens. It's not often, but it throws me off. For his part, Berger joined the Wall Street firm of Simpson, Thacher, and Bartlett, which is a member of the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, a coalition built by consensus to promote and market Ether. Hinman's ties to Simpson and Thacher, to which he returned after leaving the SEC, were much deeper. He'd been a partner at the firm before joining the government, and during his tenure at the SEC, Hinman received more than $15 million in payments from the Ethereum-linked firm. Yeah, and that's one of the most egregious-sounding occurrences, at least on the surface. $15 million. And it's all intertwined. How incestuous is that? It just doesn't smell right. I don't know for sure if anything illegal was done, but it certainly doesn't pass the smell test as far as I can tell. Peace continues. Perhaps the most glaring questions arise from a high-profile speech that Hinman gave in 2018, where he declared that, putting aside the fundraising that accompanied the creation of Ether, the token was not a security, and its sales were not securities transactions. Ether's market value subsequently rose by more than 600%. Evidence made public in the Ripple case reveals that Hinman met with consensus on multiple occasions before giving the speech, as well as a group of lawyers organized by venture capital giant Andreessen Horowitz to present a safe harbor regulatory white paper that exclusively mentioned Ether. I don't know if you can hear. If you hear that breathing, it's because she's in my lap right now. That's my pet peeve. She's my little 7-year-old terrier mix, in case you were unaware. So I've had her since she was 9 weeks old and 9 pounds when I adopted her. You can just pick her up with one hand. She's like a, I don't know, like a guinea pig. That's about the size. She's like tiny. And now she's like 45 pounds or so, but that's light enough she can hang out in my life. So I don't know if you can hear her breathing here by the mic, but that's what's going on. Anyway, 3 months before the Ripple lawsuit was filed, Clayton's firm Sullivan and Cromwell assisted Consensus in its acquisition of the Quorum platform designed to directly challenge Ripple's cross-border payments business. And in addition to returning to Simpson Thacher days after the Ripple case was filed, Hinman became an advisory partner to Andreessen Horowitz's multi-billion-dollar crypto investment fund. Isn't that ridiculous? Days after it's filed, effectively, Hinman's just back at Simpson Thacher after all this. How's that for timing, folks? With all this evidence raising questions about the objectivity of the SEC's enforcement agenda, critics are pointing to Clayton, Hinman, and Berger as the latest examples of the classic revolving door between regulatory agencies and the companies they regulate. This is understandably frustrating to citizens who are fed up by a lack of transparency and how enforcement actions are taken and a lack of oversight by agency ethics offices that are often toothless, and by Congress, which is the last resort for Americans who want meaningful oversight of the regulators by its elected representatives. The SEC has yet to answer Empower Oversight's FOIA lawsuit. We had asked for communications between Clayton, Hinman, and Berger, and those outside the SEC with a financial interest in the SEC's enforcement decisions. At first, the SEC claimed it could not find anything. But following our appeals and questions about how the searches were done, the agency recently admitted that around 1,000 pages of communications between Mr. Hinman and Simpson Thatcher turned up after. Think about that. Oh, whoops-the-doodle. Yeah, so there's nothing here. Oh, whoops-the-doodle. Our bad. There's actually 1,000 pages. Freaking asshats, man. As of this writing, though, the SEC has still failed to turn over any of those pages. Today, February 11, 2022, was the deadline for the SEC to answer our lawsuit in court. On Thursday, February 10th, we agreed to a one-week extension on condition that the SEC provide the documents it has already located. We are also sending the SEC some additional search terms to inform the additional searches it agreed to conduct. Empower Oversight expects the full measure of legally required transparency from the SEC, and we will continue to press the SEC to find and produce the documents it is required by law to disclose to the public.
I'm your guy. I will keep you posted. I'm your advocate. I'll be back on a daily basis, usually multiple times per day, with these videos to keep you updated with everything going on. So, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't done so, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Feel free to share any of my videos with your friends, family, social media, or anybody who may care to listen. Thanks so much for your continued support. I'm always here for you. I want to help you through this time. So thank you so much for continuing to choose me. Enjoy your day, stay safe, and I'll catch you again probably in a couple hours. Thanks, everybody. See you later.